My fiancée slept with her ex the night before our weddings, so I let her walk down the aisle, then exposed everything with a USB stick. I'm a 30-year-old guy. I thought I'd finally outrun my bad luck in love. I'm not flashy. Never been the life of the party. I'm the type who listens more than I talks. Who brings coffee to your desk without asking. Who remembers how you like your eggs. The kind of guy women call sweet right before ghosting. So when Rachel came into my life, she felt like sunlight in a room I didn't realize had gone dark. She was 28, worked in publishing, and had this effortless way of making people feel seen. She'd touch my arm during conversations, call me her rock, and tell her friends, "He's the only man who's ever made me feel safe." Within 6 months, we'd moved in together. Within a year, we were planning a wedding that looked like something out of a Nicholas Sparks novel. But even in the honeymoon haze, there were shadows I ignored. She'd talk about her ex-Derica a little too often. Not in a bitter way. More like nostalgia with a twist of regret. She'd say things like, "Derek used to take me to this wine bar too." Or "Derek and I loved this song," and I'd laugh it off. Tell myself I was being insecure. Then came the phone thing. She started keeping it face down. She'd smile at texts, but never say who from. "Just work." She'd shrug. I told myself not to be paranoid, that I wasn't going to ruin the best relationship I'd ever had with jealousy, because she made me feel like I was finally the one being chosen, not the backup, not the afterthought. And maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. The way love can turn into a mask someone wears while they're planning to betray you. It started subtly, little reminders that Derek was still orbiting her life. She'd get quiet whenever his name came up, then act like I was crazy for noticing. "You're being paranoid," she'd say, brushing my cheek with that same reassuring smile. "Derek and I are just friends. We've both moved on." But there was always something about the way she said his name, like it still had a heartbeat. One night, while we were having dinner with her parents, her mom accidentally slipped. "Oh, honey, did you ever tell him Derek stopped by to drop off your storage boxes?" Rachel froze. My fork stopped midair. "It was weeks ago," she said quickly, eyes darting at her mom. "I didn't think it mattered." I smiled politely, but something in my chest tightened. Later that night, I asked her about it again. "Why didn't you tell me he came over?" She sighed, putting down her wine glass. "Because I knew you'd overthink it. He was just dropping things off. That's all." Her tone was soft, almost pitying, like I was a jealous child. And I hated that she made me feel small for caring. The more I ignored it, the worse it got. She started working late, wearing new perfume, and spending weekends helping a friend move. When I'd ask which friend, she'd just say, "You don't know her." I tried to convince myself it was just stress. Wedding pressure, anything but what it looked like. Still, at night, when she turned away from me in bed, I'd stare at the ceiling and feel this hollow ache in my chest, like I was living with someone who was already gone. And deep down, a whisper I couldn't silence kept repeating, "She's not over him." And maybe she never was. The night of my bachelor party was supposed to be lighthearted, just drinks. Some stupid games and stories about my last days as a free man. My friends rented a private room at a bar downtown. I laughed, played along, drank a little too much, and tried not to think about Rachel, until Emily pulled me aside. Emily was one of Rachel's bridesmaids. But more importantly, she was honest, sometimes brutally so. We were never close, but she'd always treated me like I mattered. That night, she looked at me with this strange mix of concern and guilt. "She's been acting weird," Emily said quietly, glancing over her shoulder. "Rachel, I don't want to start anything, but something's off. Just watch her this weekend, okay?" I blinked. "What do you mean weird?" She hesitated. "Like disappearing without telling anyone? Getting really defensive when I asked if she was okay. And she keeps texting someone she won't name. I thought it was wedding stress, but now?" She didn't finish. Just shook her head. I laughed it off. "It's just cold feet, right?" But my stomach dropped when I got home later and saw her iPad on the counter open, screen lit. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. But a notification popped up. My eyes locked on the preview before I could stop myself. Can't stop thinking about last night. You were always the best. Don't make me regret this. It was from her. To Derek. I stood there frozen, a cold wave crawling over my skin. I didn't scream. I didn't wake her. I just sat down. Stared at that message until the screen dimmed and my reflection stared back. And that was the moment something inside me broke. Not from anger. Not even heartbreak. Just a quiet click. Like a switch flipping in the dark. The morning after I saw the message, I played dumb. I brought her coffee in bed. I kissed her shoulder like nothing was wrong. She smiled, half asleep, and murmured, "You're going to be the best husband." I wanted to scream. Instead, I just nodded and said I hope so. While she went dress shopping with her maid of honor, I checked her location history through the app we'd synced for the honeymoon. A shared calendar, shared locations meant for convenience. Now it was evidence. At 10:23 p.m. the night before, she'd pinged at a hotel 15 minutes from our apartment. Room 419. I knew because I called the front desk pretending to be her brother. Panicked that she'd lost her engagement ring. "Oh yes," the woman said. "She checked in around 10 and left around 2. I can give you the room number if you need to follow up with housekeeping." I didn't need to. I already knew what she was doing. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Her laughter, her casual touches, her little I love yous, they felt like needles, piercing skin already raw. That night, while she curled up beside me in bed texting someone under the covers, I turned to face the wall and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to let her walk down that aisle. I was going to let her smile and cry and promise to love me forever, and then was going to burn everything to the ground, not with rage. With the truth, cold, unfiltered, public, she wasn't going to cheat quietly and walk away with her reputation intact. She was going to be exposed. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a minute. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts spinning like a storm with no center. By morning, I had a plan. Not one born from impulse or revenge fantasies. No, this was something colder, sharper. I got out of bed before she woke up and brewed coffee like everything was normal. She smiled at me in her robe, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "One more sleep until forever." It's forever. What a joke. After she left for her final dress fitting, I sat at my desk and pulled out an old USB drive I hadn't touched in years. I labeled it, for better or worse, and I started gathering everything. Screenshots of the messages on her iPad, her shared location history, the call log I had from the hotel receptionist. Even a few old texts between her and Derek from months back where she joked, "You'll always be my favorite mistake." I edited it all together in a simple slideshow. Clean, clinical, unmistakable. Then I called my cousin, Sam, who was handling the reception tech setup. I told him I had a special surprise for Rachel, a short video to play during the speeches. "Nothing crazy," I said. "Just a montage. Can you make sure the projector's ready?" He agreed, no questions asked. By the time Rachel came home, glowing from a spa treatment, I had everything packed for the wedding. She twirled in front of me, asking if I was nervous. "Not at all," I said, smiling. "Tomorrow's going to be unforgettable." And I meant it. Because if she thought she could shatter me and walk away clean, she had no idea who she was marrying. The wedding was still on. But it wouldn't be the fairy tale she thought. It would be the final act in a story. She wrote with every lie. The church was packed: friends, family, co-workers, distant cousins we hadn't seen in years. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. People hugged me, clapped my back, told me I was glowing. I smiled, nodded, thanked them all. I was numb. The pastor gave me a warm handshake. My best man handed me the rings. Sam gave me a subtle thumbs up. The USB was already plugged into the laptop for the reception. Everything was in place. Then the music started, and there she was. Rachel stood at the end of the aisle, veiled, radiant, clutching her father's arm like a woman walking into her future. She looked stunning, like a page ripped out of a bridal magazine. but all I could think was how she had been in his bed just nights ago. She locked eyes with me, and her smile widened. I smiled back. That same fake grin I'd practiced in the mirror the night before. When she reached the altar, she leaned in and whispered, "I can't believe this is real." Oh, it was real. Just not the way she thought. The ceremony went on. The vows, the rings, the I do. I heard my voice say the words, but I wasn't really there. I was watching myself from a distance, some version of me who still believed she was worth it. When the pastor announced us husband and wife, everyone stood and applauded. Cameras flashed. My mother wiped tears from her eyes. Her parents beamed. Rachel kissed me like she meant it. I kissed her back like I didn't know, because the truth wasn't meant for thee. Ceremony, it was meant for the celebration, and as the organ played us out and the guests followed, I walked hand in hand with the woman I was about to ruin, not out of cruelty, but because pretending not to know felt worse than setting the world on fire. The reception hall was a dream. White roses, soft lighting, string quartet in the corner. Everything Rachel had spent months obsessing over was finally unfolding. And she was glowing, floating from table to table, hugging relatives, laughing with her bridesmaids like the happiest woman on earth every time she looked at me. She smiled like we were in a romance movie, like she hadn't detonated a bomb inside my chest days before. I waited. I smiled back. I played the part. Dinner came and went. The toast started. My best man gave a funny, heartfelt speech. Rachel's dad followed, choking up halfway through. Then I stood. "I have something special to share," I said, lifting my glass. Rachel and I wanted to start our marriage with a moment of honesty, so I put together a little video just for her. She smiled, confused but intrigued. "You made me a video?" I nodded. "Yeah, you could call it. A compilation of memories." Sam hit play. The lights dimmed. The screen flickered. And then it began. The text messages flashed up, first her words to Derek. "Last night felt like coming home. Don't make me regret this," the crowd murmured. Then came the location data. The hotel check-in confirmation, time-stamped, undeniable. More messages. Laughter turned to gasps. One of her bridesmaids dropped her fork. Her father stood slowly, face pale. Rachel's hands flew to her mouth. "What is this?" she screamed. I didn't answer. The final slide appeared. "This is who I almost married." Silence. Then someone clapped. Awkward, slow, followed by someone else. The ripple grew. Half the room didn't know what to do. Rachel turned to me, eyes wide, shaking. "You're humiliating me?" I set down the mic. "No, Rachel. You did that yourself?" I just hit play. And in that moment, she finally understood the ceremony had been her stage. But the reception, that was my truth. The silence after the video was thick enough to choke on. Rachel stood frozen in the middle of the dance floor, her mouth open but no words coming out. Then, like a dam breaking, she exploded. "You blindsided me. You humiliated me in front of everyone." She screamed, spinning to face the guests. Her voice cracked, mascara already streaking down her cheeks. "This isn't fair. This isn't who I am." Someone near the bar whispered, "Then why did she do it?" She stormed toward the projector setup, yanking the cord out like it would undo the truth. "You ruined the best day of my life." Sam calmly stepped in between her and the screen. "You ruined it yourself. Don't shoot the messenger." Then, like fate had a twisted sense of timing, Derek walked in. He'd shown up late, invited as a friend of the bride. A few guests gasped when they saw him. Rachel froze like she'd seen a ghost. "Derek, why are you here?" He looked stunned. I thought you wanted me here." "I didn't know my cousin Mark, who'd had 3 glasses of wine and always hated cheaters," muttered unbelievable and punched Derek in the jaw. Chaos erupted. Shouting, glass breaking, someone knocked over a table. Rachel ran to Derek, helping him up, but the damage was done. Her parents looked mortified. Her mom walked out. Her dad just shook his head in disgust. Rachel turned back to me, eyes wild. Please, can we just talk? In private, you don't have to do this. I didn't yell. I didn't flinch. I just looked her in the eye and said, "You've already took my trust, Rachel. You don't get my silence, too." And then I walked away, out the door, past the flowers and the music and the wreckage of a wedding she'd set on fire. I walked out into the cold night and didn't stop until my shoes were caked in city grit and my head felt hollow. I slept on my couch that first night fully clothed, the wedding suit folded neatly on the armchair, like proof I'd tried. The apartment smelled like lemon cleaner and crushed flowers. Someone had dumped the bouquet in the sink. The cake 3 tiers of sugar and silence sat half sliced in the fridge. Frosting smeared on Tupperware like guilt. Morning brought a different kind of violence. My phone exploded with messages. My mom called, voice raw. "Are you okay?" "I'm so sorry." My dad stayed short and practical. "We'll get through this." Friends texted love and rage and memes. Strangers sent screenshots and judgment. Someone in the hall recognized me and didn't know whether to hug me or look away. Then came the money. The venue deposit, the photographer, banned $24,000 in fairy tale bills that suddenly felt criminal. Most of it was non-refundable. My bank account looked like a battlefield. I sat with the receipts on the kitchen table and realized I'd married someone who'd cost me more than my heart she'd cost me my stability. Rachel's family called lawyers. One email said they were considering a defamation suit for public humiliation. Another from a cousin threatened to leak more private stuff about my exes if I didn't stop. Video My Truths had already gone missing from the reception. Laptop and popped up online in grainy clips. Within hours, it had been shared, reshared, sliced into 30-second scandals. My DMIs filled. Sympathy, hate, offers of friendship, crude jokes. Complete strangers told me their stories. 2 men and women who'd been cheated or gaslitten. Suddenly I wasn't the only broken one. But that didn't make me less empty. The worst part was the quiet. Nights of scrolling through comments that bit at me like cold fleas. I thought revenge would heal. It didn't. It made everything louder. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a single new message. The name that lit the screen made my chest twist. "Rachel, can we meet?" I need to explain. My thumb hovered over reply. The apartment hummed. The cake in the fridge molded. I wasn't sure which sound I feared more, the ring of truth or the silence after it. I met her at a small coffee shop near the edge of town. It's the kind of place with chipped mugs and a bell that rang when the door opened. I got there first, ordered a black coffee I didn't touch, and sat near the window where the light made it easier to read her face. Rachel walked in wearing a hoodie. No makeup, hair tied up like the version of her I used to see on lazy Sundays. Except now, she looked hollowed out. Not sad, just worn, like guilt had been eating her in slow bites. She didn't sit right away, just stood there for a second, biting her lip, then slid into the seat across from me. "I didn't come to fight," she said softly. "I just wanted to talk. Please." I nodded. Let her speak. She looked down at her cup, like the answer was in the foam. "I didn't plan to cheat. I swear I didn't. I thought seeing Derek would give me closure. I wanted to walk into our marriage with no loose ends. But you didn't cut the thread," I said. "You tied it tighter." She flinched. "It was one night. One night you lied about. One night that you followed with vows." Her hands trembled as she reached into her bag. She pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the table. "This is everything you paid for at the caterer. The flowers, the DJ. I couldn't refund it all, but I sold my car. I'm not trying to fix things. I just wanted you to know I don't want to walk away clean." I stared at it. Then her. "You didn't just cheat," I said. "You rewrote our entire story." She swallowed. "I thought if I faked forever hard enough, I'd start believing it." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out something else. The prenup, signed, dated, including the infidelity clause. Her face drained of color. "That's real closure." "Rachel," I said, "now you've lost more than me." And I stood up. Left the coffee untouched. Let the bell ring behind me like a final punctuation mark. The weeks that followed were strange quiet, but not peaceful. like standing in the wreckage of a house fire, still smelling smoke even after the flames are gone. I moved back into my old apartment, the one bedroom with peeling paint and a leaky bathroom faucet. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No floral towels, no shared passwords, no silent dinners. Just me, a mattress on the floor, and a coffee table littered with takeout containers and court documents. I didn't block Rachel, but I didn't answer her messages either. There were a few short ones, more reflective than desperate. One just said, "I hope you're okay." I didn't respond, not out of cruelty. I just had nothing left to give. Instead, I gave to myself. I canceled the honeymoon tickets and got a partial refund. The airline rep asked if I'd still like to use the credit. I paused, then booked a solo trip to Iceland, somewhere cold, quiet, and unromantic. I hiked alone, stood under waterfalls, drank black coffee in glass lodges. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone's second choice. I started therapy. Not the kind where you cry once and everything gets fixed, but the slow, aching kind. The kind that teaches you how to breathe when trust has been torn apart with surgical precision. I donated part of Rachel's envelope money to a local charity for relationship abuse survivors, not out of virtue, out of irony, out of needing the pain to mean something, and little by little, the bitterness started to dull. I didn't hate her anymore. That was the scariest part. Hate gave me purpose. But letting go, that gave me space, not to forget, but to rebuild, and in that space, I started to feel like someone worth choosing again. It's been a year now. A full cycle of seasons since the day I said I do to a woman I didn't really know and walked away from her in the same breath. I don't check her socials anymore. Last I heard, Derek's out of the picture again. Some part of me used to wonder if she'd find her way back to him like gravity, but not anymore. That chapter's closed, sealed with public shame and a USB stick. As for me, I'm still healing. Still learning to love slow mornings and quiet nights. I've started writing again, something I gave up when I got too busy planning a future that wasn't mine. I post essays, short stories, even that old travel blog I abandoned when I thought marriage would be enough. Turns out, healing doesn't come from revenge. It comes from reclaiming the parts of you that someone else tried to rewrite. I met someone a few months ago. Her name's Leah. She's different. Soft in the ways that matter, firm in the ways I need. She doesn't fill space with noise, she fills it with presence. I haven't told her everything yet, but I will. When the time is right, because love deserves honesty, not performances. Sometimes I still think about the wedding. Not with anger, just a strange sense of gratitude. Because that day didn't break, MIT exposed what was already cracked. If I could tell anyone going through something like this one thing, it's this. Let them walk down the aisle. Let them say the vows. Let them smile, and when they least expect it, show them the truth, not to destroy them, but to save yourself. Because silence is protection, yes, but sometimes truth is the only exit, and I took it. The door closed. The lights dimmed. And for the first time, I finally walked forward alone.